Warhammer 40K takes place in a universe that is huge. In the Milky Way galaxy in the 41st millennium, an imperium of mankind rules and worships a nearly dead emperor who is buried on a golden throne. Once a living man who led his 18 sons and many space marines to conquer the galaxy, mankind now rots like its emperor. It is a deep and exciting universe that is always being touched by the four gods of chaos. Since Henry Cavill is a fan of Warhammer, the news that he is executive producing and starring in the Amazon series is sure to get Warhammer fans excited. The question still stands: which story should Amazon turn into a movie first? Warhammer 40K takes place over 10,000 years and a whole galaxy. Because of this, there are a huge number of stories to tell. First, the Horus Heresy happens in the 30th millennium, which is before 40K. The Heresy was a huge event that is now being told in a huge book series. 9 of the 18 sons of the Emperor turned against him and joined the forces of chaos. The war, which was led by Horus, took place in every part of the galaxy. Characters were killed by the hundreds, and only a few made it through the Heresy. A show about the Horus Heresy would be a big, epic story. Just like the kind of stories Amazon wants to tell, it could also be a good starting point for a bigger Amazon Warhammer property. The Great Crusade is another time and place that would work well as a setting. It takes place just before the Heresy, and the Emperor leads his legions across the stars to win the galaxy for humanity. It was a real golden age and could be a great way for many fans to get to know the setting. It would be a great way to start because the Emperor starts on Terra, or Earth, and moves outward, slowly finding the scattered pieces of humanity across the galaxy. It could help new viewers get a feel for the setting, especially as the Emperor starts to find each of his sons again one by one. Next, in the 41st millennium, Gaunt's Ghosts, also called the Tanith First and Only, is a regiment of the Imperial Guard. When their home planet Tanith was destroyed and they were the only ones left, they became known as Ghosts because they were doomed to die out with their planet. But under the amazing leadership of Ibram Gaunt, the Tanith First gets back on its feet and becomes a famous regiment. Their deeds are well known and many. Their time protecting the people of the Imperium's many worlds could be a great series, especially since Imperial Guardsmen are just regular people thrown into a cruel, uncaring universe. Moving on, the Badab War was a fight that happened close to the Maelstrom, which is in the middle of the galaxy. Tyrant Luft Kiran led 4 Space Marine chapters that broke away from the Imperium for different reasons. The chapter's job was to protect the Badab sector, but they decided they could do a better job on their own. It's a conflict that goes to the heart of what it means to be human. It's told in a series of books that send the age-old message that power corrupts power. So far as I can tell, the Huron rebel for good reasons. Over time, his goals change and he comes to be known as a tyrant. It's a story of good intentions that ends up being sad, especially when the Imperium crushes the rebels. In particular, it was a very isolated conflict, which could make it easy for Amazon to adapt, even if it was very intense. During the Badab War, the Lamenters fought with Huron. But unlike the other chapters, they stayed true to the Imperium to the end. They were nearly decimated during the war, and right after, they were ordered to go on a penitent crusade to make amends. They were told they couldn't go back to the Imperium for 100 years, and they did their job with honor. People say that the Lamenters are cursed with bad luck, and during their penitential crusade, many terrible things happened to them. They were tricked into joining Huron in the first place, and then they have to take the punishment for all 4 chapters, which is the worst thing that could happen. Next up, the Black Crusades. They were led by Abaddon the Despoiler, Horus's inheritor and the leader of the forces of chaos for the past 10,000 years. The 13 Black Crusades are terrible, dark events that always have effects on the whole Imperium. It would be risky to adapt the Black Crusades, especially as the first book, But it could be a chance to do Warhammer justice in a way that only such large adaptations can. For a truly legendary story, there would be a lot of big fights, plots, and heroic acts. The 13th Black Crusade was the most important of the 13. In one of 40K's most important plot points in almost a decade, Abaddon attacked the fortress world of Cadia. Of the 13 Crusades, it was the most brutal and the largest, ultimately leading to the current state of 40K with a large rift tearing the galaxy in two. The story of the battle for Cadia is very well known and has been told many times. It's almost ready to be turned into a movie or TV show, and if told from the point of view of a Cadian guardsman, for example, it could be a great way to introduce new viewers and fans to the story. Also, it would let Amazon jump right into current lore for 40K, keeping the story very close to how it is going now. The Tyrannic Wars would be a great choice because they're so different. The three wars could be a great way to start because they involve not only the Ultramarines, who are the most famous characters in Warhammer 40K, but also the Tyranids, who could be seen as an easy enemy to introduce. The Tyranids are a scary enemy that could be a great villain for a series. They are an endless, ravenous hive mind of monsters that are beyond comprehension or imagination. In addition, the Ultramarines are one of the easiest Space Marine chapters to introduce and arguably the most recognizable. In the three huge battles of the Tyrannic Wars, the Ultramarines fight against the hordes of Tyranids. These battles would be perfect for Amazon's epics. The big thing going on in Warhammer 40K right now is the Indomitus Crusade. Warhammer 40K is taking place during the Indomitus Crusade. Guilliman, one of the Emperor's favorite sons, is reborn in a way that is both human and alien. He returns to the front lines ready to bring order back to the Imperium, which has been broken up. Guilliman lived during the time of the Great Crusade, which was a time of science, progress, and wealth. He goes back to an Imperium that is very different from his own. It is a religious, fascist state that is clinging to life with all its might. The three books Guilliman wrote after he got back have a very sad tone because he is sad about what could have been. The grim but grand story that Guilliman tells, and the slow rebuilding that he starts, could be a great way to start a larger Amazon Warhammer property. There are many stories to choose from. I would definitely not like to be the director of the film because I would definitely be spoiled by choices. Which story do you believe would be the most appropriate? Comment below.
Chaos cannot stand against us!